So hello, here we are. It is the 1st of January 2024, and we are here with the end of year awards, because, you know, those are always fun to go through. And yeah, I've been staring at this screen for like a couple of days, and I just know that Seth Rollins won Wrestler of the Year. I haven't looked at any of the other awards, but he's been staring at me in my face, and I really want to look at them all. So I thought I would, you know, just quickly do it now and record this. This will probably be an unattached part at the start of the big overview videos. I don't know if I'm going to do that whole thing right now. But yeah, I just want to go over the awards real quick. So of course, Seth Rollins, Wrestler of the Year. What was his average, actually, for 2023? 88. Yeah, that's fine. I'll look at the Power 500 at the end, but like that might spoil some of these other ones, so I'll hold off for now. Company of the Year, we're going to win this. Yep, WWE, of course. Titanic. We're gargantuan. We cannot be stopped. Like, I'm just playing this. I mean, I've been playing it as a storytelling medium and not a game anyway since episode 1. But now we are officially just in. I'm just using this to, you know, tell my fan fiction, basically. Team of the Year. Okay, so I'm at the point where I think we're going to win everything. I'm just trying to think about who this could be. I want maybe Imperium, maybe Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. But yeah, I think I'm gonna say Imperium. I believe will win this. No, it's the OG leaders. I forgot they were the champions. Actually, yes, AJ Styles and Finn Balor have won the award for Tag Team of the Year. Yeah, I kind of rate that actually. A Match of the Year should go Asuka Io. Yes, does. Show of the Year. Either WrestleMania or SummerSlam. Backlash. Oh, okay. Can I view Backlash? I got 100. Okay, yeah, Randy and Cody Rhodes main event. That checks out. But yeah. Anyway, we then move on. Young Wrestler of the Year, Roxy. Her first time winning the award. She probably still eligible for like another 5 years. So yeah, should be fine. Veteran Wrestler of the Year, Cesaro has won that. What was his average? That's actually a higher average than Seth Rollins. But, oh well. I guess he doesn't have as much, you know, as many matches. Female Wrestler of the Year, Io, maybe. Yeah, of course. Well, no, why I said maybe. I guess because she missed like 2 months. This is the second time she's won the trophy. I believe those are both under me. Yes. Of course. The only reason she didn't win in 2022 is because she was injured. Yeah. Most Improved Company of the Year. Not got a clue because this won't be me. NXT Japan. Okay. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Yeah, that's a big growth because they're on my network, of course. That's why they're growing so quickly. And Independent Wrestler of the Year, again, I don't know who this will be because they don't work for me. Keno Miyahara, sure. Why is he independent and not written to All Japan? Oh, because they extended him on a handshake right at the start of the save. Whatever. Manager of the Year, Paul Heyman probably. No Ghetto, of course. Yeah. Oh, Ghetto. Announcer of the Year. These will both be mine because I did bump both my announcers up to 100 because I think getting dinged for announcers is lame. Yeah, Michael Cole. And Color Con should probably be, might be Caprice Coleman or it might be Nigel. It's Caprice. Yeah, okay. And the Referee of the Year, for those who are interested, is Daisuke Kiso. But, more importantly than that, leave the memories alone. Bill Goldberg has hung up his boots. I have had Goldberg on my roster. On, like, he's got 1 appearance left on his deal. I've had him there since June. I've just not booked him. And, yeah. He's still there. I believe he's still here. I believe it still says, yeah, Goldberg has 1 appearance left on his contract. But you can't see that because there's a lot of shit here. I forgot how much shit here you weren't supposed to see. So, just trust me. It says Goldberg has 1 appearance left in his contract right here. but I'm not allowed to show you it. Yeah. And yeah, that's the end of year awards. All done and dusted. Hello, this is going to be the just the end of year like overview thing, like I said. Obviously if you are all caught up, you don't have to sit and watch this whole thing, but you know, you might still find it interesting because I'm going to go over some stuff I don't think I've ever said, and you know, just reflect on the year, look ahead, you know, use this basically as a launching point for anybody who wants to like start, because obviously I don't expect you to watch 460 episodes. So yeah, you know, 2023 was, I think, in many ways, you know, one of, if not the best year of the entire save, both in game and out of game, because of course we did get our first 100 rated match this year, which we'll get to in a later date. Yeah, but I went through these end of year awards, you know, Seth Rollins, OG leaders, you know, Io and Cesaro and Roxy and all this, you know. We went over this. I think it's attached to the beginning of this episode. Tragically, the most tragic news of all, though I didn't bring up attention to, is that Bill Goldberg has hung up his boots. Yeah. Actually, no, I did bring attention to that, because I remember I looked at... Anyway. But this is just going to be like an overview, I guess, for the entire season. You know, what's to come ahead for 2024, heading into the Rumble and Mania season. We have, you know... I guess the best place to start would be looking at the champions. And I guess I'm going to sort of go back further than just 2023 here, because you want to get the entire lore all caught up. We'll start with the, obviously the WWE Championship. You know, Drew McIntyre currently holds that. He won it back at SummerSlam Night 1, defeating Cody Rhodes, who was the champion who finished his story at WrestleMania 39. The title history for here is very interesting. You know, it started with Drew. He started the save, you know, the night after Mania 36. So Drew started as the WWE Champion. And then he lost it to Buddy Murphy, who was Mr. Money in the Bank. And then Otis had a 1 week run with it because I had a goal to make him WWE Champion. And then Seth Rollins won it off Otis. Randy Orton won it off Seth Rollins back in December. During the whole Church of Rollins thing, that was when Seth really became the protagonist of the entire save. Yeah, Randy won it. He took it to WrestleMania. He defended it in the main event against John Cena, who won the 2021 Royal Rumble. And then he ended up losing it to Karrion Kross, who was, for some reason, was the Universal Champion. And they unified the belts. And then Samoa Joe picked it up from Karrion Kross. Sami Zayn won it from Samoa Joe. Roman Reigns then won it from Sami Zayn, which is when, to me, the save really started getting really good. This reign of Roman, Seth, Cody, and Drew is, you know, during the peak of my booking. Roman held it from 2021 September to October 2022 when Seth Rollins beat him for it. Then he took it all the way to WrestleMania, dropped it to Cody Rhodes in what I consider my magnum opus story of the entire save, and then Cody took it to SummerSlam where Drew beat it for him, and they're set for a rematch at New Year's Revolution this Saturday. As for the World Heavyweight, I suppose I better go look at the Universal title first. Because we did start with that. And Braun Strowman started with the belt. And yeah, he dropped it to Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam in 2020, who then held it for a month for dropping it to King Corbin. And then Mustafa Ali had it. Then Karrion Kross won it on his main roster debut as well, was the goal. In terms of Karrion Kross, he's still the sort of character that I'm glad you do that with, because he has that aura, but, you know, he's mid. So, don't expect him to ever get another world title run, because he's mid. Yeah, we then get to the actual World Heavyweight Championship, because what happened was, in the 2021 draft, after WrestleMania, both Randy Orton and Karrion Kross went to SmackDown. Meaning that the WWE Championship, which, you know, was combined, it absorbed the Universal title. And then, you know, the World Heavyweight Championship then went to Raw, which is where it starts here. Keith Lee was the inaugural champion of that lineage. He then lost it at Wembley SummerSlam to Drew McIntyre, held it for a month before Oney Lorcan held it. That's a long story in and of itself. Yeah, then Finn Balor beat Oney. Big E, who won the Rumble in 2022, won it at WrestleMania, held it until September, lost it to Sheamus, who then lost it to Drew McIntyre. That was a Clash at the Castle. Gunther then beat Drew McIntyre for it at the Royal Rumble, held it through WrestleMania, and then dropped it to Pete Dunne on SmackDown because, again, Gunther had been drafted to Raw alongside Cody, and SmackDown needed a world champion, so Pete Dunne sort of went, give me the match. He won it, but then Carmelo Hayes immediately cashed in Money in the Bank and won it off him. And then Carmelo Hayes, funny enough, carried it to SummerSlam, where the 2023 Money in the Bank winner Montez Ford cashed in to take the championship off him. And now LA Knight, has it. He won at Survivor Series from Montez Ford. We then have the Intercontinental Champion, which is currently Dijak. This title lead has been interesting. We start with Sami Zayn as the champion. He lost it to Cesaro in May 2020. Gargano then won it from Cesaro, dropped it to Otis, and then won it back from Otis, who then dropped it to Damian Priest at WrestleMania because they were both in the Church of Rollins. And then Damian Priest broke away, beat Gargano for it at WrestleMania. He lost it to The Miz, who lost it back to Damian Priest, lost it back to The Miz. And then Kofi Kingston won it. Tyler Breeze won it. This was a whole, we'll get to him when I go over his arc. But Tyler Breeze won it. Brought it to Xavier Woods, who took it to WrestleMania. Cameron Grimes then held it. Angel Garza had it. Then Mustafa Ali. Then John Morrison. Then Angelo Dawkins. Then Chad Gable. Then Sheamus. And now Dijak. The US title, currently on Solo Sikoa. We started with Andrade as the champion. He lost it to Kevin Owens. Then who lost it to Bobby Lashley, then to Apollo Crews. Then Chad Gable had it, dropped it to Shinsuke, dropped it to Mustafa Ali, then Drew Gulak had it, then Dolph Ziggler won it. Dropped it to Bobby Roode, dropped it to Bron Breakker, who dropped it to Crypto Corbin, We'll get to that. Then Warden held it. He was really the first dominant US champion, as you can see here. Warden is, of course, Wardlow. Then Swerve beat him for it, thanks to some Brock Lesnar shenanigans. Pete Dunne won it, held it, up until recently, where Solo has now got the belt. Raw Tag Team titles. There we go. Let's go back to the beginning. They started on the Street Profits, who quickly lost them to Brendan Vink and Shane Thorne of Aussie Might, who dropped them to Shelton Benjamin and Apollo Crews, who were in the Hurt Business, or VIP Nation, I believe they were called at the time. Then Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink won them back. New Day won them. Santos Escobar and Isaiah Swerve Scott, who were both under the Zelina Vega Mafia. Then Kofi and Xavier Woods. Edge and Christian reunited, had a run. Then Undisputed Era won them. Ricochet and Bronson Reed, team called the Cyclone. They then got the run here. Chad Gable and Otis of Alpha Academy dropped them at WrestleMania in 2022 to The Fiend and Willow, who carried them all the way through, dropped them to Rated RKO in July, who then lost to... It says Humberto Carrillo and Zergus the Mighty. That's actually Humberto Carrillo and Akira Tozawa, mainly. But Tozawa, we'll see what happened to him later on. So, Zergus had to step in, Path of the Dragon, the most iconic tag team champion of the entire save. They came together, in the first month of the save, and they've eventually became tag team champions. But they did end up losing to AJ Styles and Finn Balor because they got really fucked by injuries. Humberto has, a nerve thing that he's working through, and Tozawa is gone with a brain tumor for months. So, the game decided I had to end the reign there. AJ and Finn then won them, who dropped them to Imperium, who just, in the last episode of Raw, dropped them to R-Truth and Slim Shanky of Titus World Records. The SmackDown Tag Team Championship started on Miz and John Morrison, and they lost them to Kofi Kingston and Big E, who lost them to Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado. And then one of them, I think it was Lince, got hurt. So they were vacated. Usos then won a tournament to crown the new champions. They lost them to the Dirty Dogs. Dropped them back to the Usos, who dropped them to Rey and Dominic at WrestleMania 37. And then they dropped them to the Usos. This was bloodline stuff here. So, and then Jay got hurt with a major concussion. He was out for over a year. And Buddy Murphy and Damian Priest, they were quote-unquote in the Church of Rollins together, but they were also, both feuding with Roman Reigns. That was a thrown together tag title match, and the game decided that Buddy Murphy and Priest were going to win them because, they called an audible because Jay got hurt. But then Buddy Murphy broke his leg, so they had to vacate the belts. AJ Styles and Omos then won them. Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford beat them. Then the House of Black, then DIY, Then the Cyclone had a SmackDown tag title run. Cesaro and Daniel Bryan held them from WrestleMania this year till July, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have held them ever since. Then with the women's title, we'll start with the WWE Women's Championship, which is the Raw women's title in this save. I believe it's the No, it is. It's the confusing thing because it's on SmackDown, but it is the Raw women's title. Yeah, so WWE Women's is the Raw women's title. Becky, of course, started with the championship after WrestleMania, but then she was pregnant, so we had to vacate the belt. Shayna then won the vacant belt at the first pay-per-view against Liv Morgan, I believe. She carried it through to SummerSlam. Liv won the belt at SummerSlam, carried it all the way through to the end of the year when Io defeated Liv for the belt. She then carried it all the way through to SummerSlam. Becky won it, and then she carried it to WrestleMania, where Rhea won it for the first time. Sonya Deville's title win was another audible that the game called, hence this weird little jumble here. Because Rhea got hurt in their match at Evolution, the game put the belt on Sonya. So then the next night on Raw, she lost it to Asuka. Then Asuka was taking it to SummerSlam to fight Bianca. Bianca won it. And then Rhea came back, won it back, was a heel at this point. Then Charlotte was Miss Money in the Bank. She cashed in at New Year's Revolution at the start of the last year to win the belt, carried it through WrestleMania to Money in the Bank, where Sasha won it, and Sasha carried it through to Unforgiven, where Rhea won it and still has it. The Women's World Championship, the SmackDown Women's belt, started on Bayley, of course. She lost it to Paige at SummerSlam in 2020, and Sasha Banks was Miss Money in the Bank, so she won it. She cashed in right after Paige beat Bayley and took the belt. She carried it through to December. Ember Moon got a 1-month run with it because I had a challenge to put the belt on her. And then, of course, Sasha took it to Mania, lost it to Bianca. Bianca lost it to the 2021 Money in the Bank winner was Sonya Deville. She cashed in, won it the same night she won the case. And then she carried it to SummerSlam. Queen Sasha, because she won Queen of the Ring, carried it all the way through December. Tegan Nox surprised the world by winning the belt. Carried it through to WrestleMania. Dakota Kai took the belt. Held it to SummerSlam. Kyrie got a run. Held it till December. Bayley won it. Took it from December to WrestleMania, where Candice LeRae, who won the Royal Rumble, took it from Bayley in the main event of Night 1. She took it till July, which was Evolution 5 in Paris, and Io won it, and she's held it ever since. Women's tag titles started on, I believe, the Alexa and Nikki Cross, yeah. Because it was the Kabuki Warriors dropped to Alexa and Nikki Cross at WrestleMania. And then at the first pay-per-view, I switched it back to the Kabukis. And then Dakota Kai and Raquel won them. And Trish and Lita, I gave a 1-month run to because I thought that would be fun. Io and Kyrie won them. Then Ruby Riott and Candice LeRae, who are both in the Church of Rollins at the time, took it. AJ and Paige then won them at WrestleMania, dropped them to Kaylee Ray and Nikki Cross, who dropped them to Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Io and Kyrie got another run. Went through Mania this time before Charlotte Flair and Lady Jordan, her protege, won them. Carried them through to, I believe it was the week before SummerSlam. I believe it was the Monday of SummerSlam week. And Cora Jade and Bayley, who had this whole, friendship arc going on. They finally won the belts, only held them for 5 days before Charlotte and Jordan won them back. Mackie and Tam of J-Flow then won them before Dakota Kai and Bayley of Damage Control took the belts into the new year. Liv Morgan and Hikaru Shida won them on the Go Home show for the Royal Rumble. Took them through to May at Judgment Day, where Tatum Paxley and Ivy Nile took them. Alexa and Nikki won them at SummerSlam, and then they dropped them at Halloween Havoc Raw to My Wrestling Academia, Sarray and Zelina Vega, who've just now dropped them to Io and Dakota Kai of Queendom. So Io does have 2 championships. The Liberty Championship, which is my women's mid-card title, has a much shorter lineage. First champion was crowned SummerSlam 2022. Shotzi Blackheart won it. Carried it through to November, where Cora Jade, who was the third member of Damage Control, which was Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Cora, she won the belt there. She carried it all the way through to WrestleMania, where Roxy Perez beat her for it. She dropped it to AJ Lee at Evolution, who turned on Roxy, of course, as her mentor. And then they had a rematch at SummerSlam, which Roxy won, who then carried it through to Survivor Series, where Jade Cargill, who won the Mae Young Classic undefeated, had a shot at the championship for winning the Mae Young Classic, so she used it at Survivor Series, and she won the belt. The Cruiserweight Championship has had a bit of a weird... Ignore all this was when it was in NXT. The first champion I crowned on the main roster was Rey Mysterio. The same show that we crowned the first Liberty Champion, we crowned the Cruiserweight Champion. Rey won a Cruiserweight World Cup that served like an actual World Cup, and he beat Ricochet in the final to become the champion. He lost it to Wes Lee in November, who then lost it to Dominic, who carried it through to WrestleMania, fought his dad for it at WrestleMania. Rey beat him for it at WrestleMania. Scripts then cheated to beat Rey Mysterio for it. And then Young Sensei of My Wrestling Academia, who, you know, might be a bit of a bad egg, we don't know, currently has the belt, winning it at SummerSlam against Scripts, who was, you know, like a super villain up against our anime heroes. Cruiserweight Trio Championships, these are just, if I do say so myself, they exist. That sure is what they do. The first champions were Oni Lorcan, Drew Gulak, and Timothy Thatcher. They didn't hold them for too long because I put them on Death from Above, which is Pistolero, who is Bandito, Gran Metalik, and Lince Dorado. Held them for a lot longer than they were supposed to because of some, you know, weird things with TEW and the call-up system and all that. But the current champions are LA Extreme, which is Rush, Jorge Santana, and Santos Escobar. We then have, as you see at the top here, ECW Championships, because we opened up a third brand this year. I didn't ever want to do it, but, you know, I got challenged to, so here we are. But it's a lot of people's favourite brand, so it's fine. Women's World Champion, the first champion was crowned at SummerSlam. Julia won the tournament. No, it wasn't a tournament. She got given a shot because she was the number 1 contender for Sasha Banks' title at Evolution before she got injured. So she just used that to get a shot at the ECW Women's title. Liv Morgan was her opponent, and she beat Liv, became the inaugural champion, and just has held it ever since. The ECW World Championships had a bit more of a different lineage. And this picture, this is the first time I've looked at this, because you can see he's only just won the belt. And this belt and this picture is jarring. But yeah, Dolph Ziggler was the inaugural champion. He fought Damian Priest. That was a tournament final match. They were former members of the Grand Jury together, aka the Judgment Day. Priest kicked out Dolph Ziggler, usurped him as the leader, and they fought off in the final of the tournament for the World title at SummerSlam. Dolph Ziggler won it, carried it through Survivor Series where Warden became the champion in a triple threat against Ziggler and Roman. He only held it for a month because he went off to film something, so I had to take the belt off him, but I was also challenged to put the belt on him. So, yeah, Roman won it after just a month. He's now the champion, of course. Finally, Paul Heyman's chosen man at the top of his brand. ECW World Tag Team Champions, we've only had one set of them. It's the Hurt Business. It should be Damon Kemp and Ronnie Hughes, who is a regen. But he's currently hurt, so Lashley had to fill in at the pay-per-view and defend for him. I can probably alter that right now, actually. There we go. And then the World Television Championship, we brought back with Matt Cardona because, you know, Matt Cardona did that thing on the Indies IRL when he beat Rhino and he claimed he was the television champion. So when I brought him back, he just brought the belt with him. And he then lost it to Braun Strowman, who also was on his way back after I released him and his contract with New Japan had expired. But he only held it for a month before ZSJ won it, and he now has the belt as we speak. Mae Young Classic, Jade Cargill, of course, won it last year. The only other one we did was in 2020. Kylie Ray was the winner of that one. And let's check what else we've got here. The Andre Battle Royal, since I've done it, has been won by Samoa Joe in 2021, Ridge Holland 2022, and Andre Chase this past year. The WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal, Rhea Ripley, Asuka, and Florence, who is Jamie Hayter, won that. The Money in the Bank was currently held by, where is it? Montez Ford, I know, yeah. Austin Theory won it and then lost it to Buddy Murphy because they were both in the Church of Rollins, and Murphy took it off him. Murphy then cashed it in to become WWE Champion. Only Lorcan, he won it in 2021, cashed it in, became World Heavyweight Champion. Same with Carmelo Hayes in 2022 and Montez Ford this year. For the Women's Money in the Bank, Sasha Banks won it the first year. She cashed in at SummerSlam, became champion. Sonya Deville cashed in that same night to become champion. Charlotte waited until New Year's Revolution to become champion. Florence has the belt, has the briefcase currently, cashed it in on EO before Survivor Series and was screwed, and was our first failed cash-in of the save. Women's Rumble, as I've went over, Charlotte won it in Real Life 2020, Bianca Belair in 2021. Apparently I didn't put it on the line in 2022, but it was Rhea Ripley, and Candice LeRae last year. And the Men's Royal Rumble was John Cena in 2021, Big E 2022, and Cody Rhodes in 2023. So yeah, now it's just time to just go over this past year, because it's been a successful year. We'll start with our, show history. We started the year with New Year's Revolution. Drew McIntyre defended against Ludwig Kaiser on that show, back when Ludwig was a singles guy. And, the main event was Bianca and Rhea in a TLC match, because they were coming off a heated rivalry. Charlotte cashed in, took the belt, and became the champion heading into WrestleMania. And a couple of other matches happened on that show. Angelo Dawkins was IC champion. Bayley and Dakota Kai defended here. But then head to the Royal Rumble, which was a stacked show. Seth Rollins defended the WWE Championship. It was actually in Minneapolis US Bank Stadium. So it was in Brock's hometown. Seth beat him to keep a hold of the belt. Bayley defended her belt against AJ. Path of the Dragon and the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team titles. Candice LeRae won a Women's Royal Rumble, last eliminating Nova Nebula, who isn't around because she's pregnant right now. Charlotte Flair defended against Bianca. The Cyclone defeated Matt Riddle and Swerve. Hit Bro. Gunther won the world title, and then Cody won the Rumble to set up our main event of WrestleMania, being Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. Or so we thought, because we then get to No Way Out, which, if I do say so myself, is one of my favourite pay-per-views of the year, personally. Because a lot of shit moved on this show. Carmelo Hayes beat Daniel Bryan. He was doing this thing where, he was beating a number of former world champions while he had the case. And him and Bryan had beef from the Rumble. And he beat Bryan. He was going on to wrestle John Cena at WrestleMania. Mello, that is. Cora Jade defeated AJ Lee. This is back when AJ was still a face. Cora was the first of her, quote-unquote wrestling daughters to turn on her. And, yeah. Throughout the night was this overarching story of Bayley versus Kairi Sane, where Kairi had won the right to have somebody in her corner in the match. So Bayley was attacking, or Bayley, Dakota, and Cora were attacking, the people that hated Damage Control, those being Candice LeRae, and they have a babyface on the roster. But we'll find out what happened later on tonight. The Cyclone defeated the Usos because Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. Jacob Fatu was in the Bloodline alongside the Usos and Roman Reigns. And when Jay came back after over a year away, he started being suspicious of Jacob Fatu. And in the end, it turned out his suspicions were correct, because he ended up leaving the Bloodline, joining Solo Sikoa. Solo was never, well, he is now, but at this point he was never in the Bloodline. Because we did the thing where he was abandoned and left to fight in Samoa while the rest of the family was in WWE. So then he actually came in and helped Seth Rollins beat Roman Reigns. And he was beefing with his own family, and then Jacob Fatu turned on the Bloodline to join him, setting up WrestleMania, which would be the Usos against Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. Then get Buster Gates and Big E cage match, Adam Cole and Kevin Owens. Live for Battle beat the Rebellion, who was Tony Storm and Ruby Riott. Then Warden, who was the dominant US champion, issued an open challenge for the belt at the No Way Out. Brock Lesnar came out and beat him up because I can't remember where their issues. I think it might have been at the Royal Rumble. Yeah. And then Brock had beef with Warden, so he came out and he screwed him out of the US title that he'd held since SummerSlam. Swerve won it. And then Kairi, her partner in crime during her match with Bayley was Io Shirai, who'd been injured for many, many months. Her and Becky went away on the same day. Becky was pregnant and Io was majorly concussed. And then Io came back here, but she screwed Kairi, setting up a match for WrestleMania, setting up Bayley against Candice as well. Then the main event was announced as a tag team match, Cody teaming with his brother Dustin against Solo and Seth, where, Cody would lose the right to challenge for the championship at WrestleMania should Seth and Solo beat him. And they attacked Dustin on the go-home show. He wasn't able to make it. Roman Reigns stepped in at the last minute, tagged himself in, speared Seth Rollins, pinned him. So Cody and Seth were still going to WrestleMania, but Roman pinning the champion got him a title shot. We then move on to WrestleMania, which saw Death from Above defend the Trio Championships against MSK's Wes Lee, Leslie Young, who is a Myron Reed, and then Tristan Ellison, who is Trey Miguel. Florence then won the Women's Battle Royal, last eliminating Julia in a moment that was like, because her and Julia were both primed as like the two like aces of the future of the women's division, and they were the final two in this Battle Royal, and Florence eliminated her to win. I don't know if I've ever actually said this, Florence being Jamie Hayter, if you're not concerned. Ladder match for the IC title, Angelo Dawkins took it in. Montez Ford was also in the match, but it was Chad Gable who left with the belt. Asuka, this is where we debuted, the face paint. She beat Dakota Kai in like 40 seconds, debuting the face paint and kicking her head off, which started an awful night for Damage Control on night one. Cesaro and Bryan became the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Rhea and Sasha had a thing. Rhea won that. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn took on Bobby Roode and Adam Cole of the Paragon. The Paragon being Adam Cole, Bobby Roode, and the Von Erich brothers, known as the Fritz brothers. Because Kevin Owens and Adam Cole were friends the year before, and then Kevin Owens went away to do politics in the game, and I kept him away for many months. The whole thing with Kevin Owens and Adam Cole was they both didn't trust each other, and they both called each other backstabbing pricks, even though they'd both, because Adam Cole had already betrayed the Undisputed Era at this point. And then when Kevin left, Adam Cole felt vindicated. He made the Paragon, which was him, Bobby Roode, and the Fritz brothers. Kevin Owens came back at the Rumble because I cheated to get him back, because I think politics being a reason to take your wrestler away is silly. And yeah, he was then outnumbered. Sami Zayn reunited with Kevin Owens. They won. Nice, wholesome story. Bianca and Utami was Raw vs. SmackDown to determine the franchise player of the brand. Bianca won, which granted her 3 wishes, but the wishes were that she couldn't give herself a title match or like anything like that, and we'll find out what she used those on at a later point. Warden then beat Brock Lesnar in a match. Sure, that blew off their angle there. Roxy then did beat Cora for the Liberty title. You know, she was coming to the aid of AJ, the defense of AJ, after Cora had betrayed her. We inducted Batista into the Hall of Fame as the headliner, along with some other people. He would then go on to be crowned the new Raw General Manager the night after. We'll find out what happened to the old one on night 2. Finn Balor and AJ Styles defeated Jeff Jarrett and Baron Corbin. Jarrett came out of the Rumble, introduced Baron Corbin, and they just beat with AJ and Finn. That was a WrestleMania match. Not really too much more than that. Dolph Ziggler defeated Logan Paul. Logan Paul again in the Royal Rumble eliminated Dolph Ziggler. Originally, it was started out like Logan was the babyface because Ziggler was a heel, but I quickly course corrected and Ziggler turned face in the build to this, beat Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Fatal 4-Way: Gunter, Ilya Dragunov, Pete Dunne, and Dudley Davis. They're all members of the Regal Coalition, and they all ended up, coming into each other's orbit heading into WrestleMania. 4-Way for the belt. Gunter ended up retaining. And yeah, don't ask about the name Dudley Davis as well, by the way. We'll get to that. The Revolution, which is Buster Gates, Nebo Barnes, and Rufus Hamilton, aka Ricky Starks, Alex Hammerstone, and Calvin Tankman, defeated the New Day in a 6-man tag, tornado match. And then the main event, Candice LeRae defeated Bayley to win the SmackDown Women's title. Night 2 kicked off with, the kickoff Battle Royals, as well as Bobby Lashley for LA Knight. Neither of them had anything to do, so they fought each other on the kickoff show. The Battle Royal was won by Andre Chase, last eliminating Baron Corbin, because Corbin was in both this and, the tag match the night before. But Andre Chase did the thing where he was laying out on the outside. He came in at the end and eliminated Corbin to win. Swerve defeated Matt Riddle to retain the US title. Hip Row was a funny arc I did, where I think they were feuding with the Paragon and they need another member, so Matt Riddle kept pretending he was a part of Hip Row, and then, eventually he betrayed Swerve, but he was the babyface still, but Swerve was still the heel, and they had a match at WrestleMania. Swerve beat him. It was better than I made it sound there. Live for Battle is Liv Morgan and Hikaru Shida defeating the Rebellion as well as Trish and Lita in a 3-way tag match. Tatum Paxley against Alexa Bliss was... Alexa was the Raw GM through the whole year of 2022, basically. And she's become more and more of a bitch, abusing her power as time went on. Tatum Paxley and Ivy Nile were her sort of, like, assistants or, like, security or whatever as the GM. Which then led to her, like, you know, treating them like shit. And then in the Rumble, Alexa entered the Rumble as the GM, ordered Pax to, like, keep her safe or whatever. In the end, Tatum eliminated Alexa, and then Alexa fired her. But Tatum came back under a mask. We did Mr. America, basically. She was La Paxica. And, you know, Alexa was determined to find out, you know, prove to the world that it was Tatum Paxley. And then it led to a match, WrestleMania, Tatum versus Alexa. If Tatum won, she'd get her contract back with Raw. And if Alexa would leave as the GM, which then happened, and then we'll see what happened to Alexa later. Solo and Jacob Fatu did defeat the Usos in what I said here earlier on. The TEW Senpai won a My Wrestling Academia finale. That's actually technically not true. What this was the culmination of our My Wrestling Academia angle, which, you know, that's a whole other can of worms. Don't ask. It was the good guys being My Wrestling Academia, Titus World Records, and Joe Hendry defeating Joe Gacy's crew, aligned with the Karrion Kross, Cole, and Malcolm Bivens and friends. And yeah, again, don't ask. We'll get into it. Path of the Dragon defeated Ichiban, which is Nakamura and Minoru Suzuki, to retain the Raw Tag Team titles. Rated RKO beat Imperium. I had nothing for Edge and Randy to do, so I thought that would be a nice spot to give Ludwig and Vinci, and it was. They did alright. We then get Drew McIntyre defeats Bray Wyatt. Obviously, the Bray Wyatt stuff got cut short because, you know, but yeah, he'd take a aim at Drew. He had all the Firefly Funhouse puppets, as well as Susanna, who is Su Yung, who'd been aligned with him for a while. But at WrestleMania, they actually, you know, just Drew beat Bray, and then the Wyatt Six, as they were, kicked Bray Wyatt out, and it was going to lead to Bray the Fiend versus Uncle Howdy at SummerSlam in some sort of stipulation cinematic match. But obviously, that didn't happen because Bray Wyatt, you know, Io beat Kyrie, you know, the follow-up of that match. Ray beat Dominic. Dominic Mysterio was a member of the Nice business, led by Anthony Nice, who formed the business to reform the face of Cruiserweight Wrestling following his alliance with Crypto Corbin. And he recruited Dominic. He's actually the one who turned Dominic on Ray in this universe, which led to this, you know, title versus career match here tonight. And then Ray won the Cruiserweight Championship from Dominic. Charlotte defended the championship against Nova Nebula. Nova won an Elimination Chamber on Raw. Raw Special Elimination Chamber show to get the shot. And Charlotte won because she was the leader of a group, the Queen's Court, with Danny Jordan, Aaliyah, and Skylar being Brandy Lauren. And she, like, said, oh, I don't want you out there because you're fucking things up for me. But in the end, she debuted a new group at the WrestleMania with Ava Raine and Ariana Grace, called the Royal Dynasty, which is like a female version of Legacy. And, you know, for many months, Ava and Ariana were just background players, but Ariana Grace is becoming her own character now, and she's getting decently over for it. John Cena then came back, he put over Carmelo Hayes. And yeah, the main event, the culmination of our best story ever told, Cody Rhodes won over Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in 99 to finish the story. Backlash, Bianca fought Florence in a singles match when Florence was turning babyface. Chad Gable defended against Andrade. This was in Puerto Rico as well, by the way. Humberto and Zergis defeated Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. Roxy defeated Cora in a rematch. Damian Priest and Dolph Ziggler, again, when they were still the Grand Jury together before they broke up, they won a tag team match against Logan Paul and KSI. KSI, yes, he has wrestled here. Charlotte then retained in a 4-way against Nova, Rhea, and Sasha. Bad Bunny teamed with Rey Mysterio again to beat the aforementioned Anthony Nese and Dominic Mysterio. And the main event, Cody defended against Randy. Judgment Day, believe it or not, was a very, very important show, because it's actually where the culmination of the Seth Rollins-Roman Reigns arc came to an end. We actually murdered people on this show as well, which we'll also get into. The pre-show was Tiffany Stratton and Mariah May defeating Daniels, Katana, and Enchilada. We opened the show with, it was a Falls Count Anywhere 6-man tag. It was Karrion Kross and the Cross Cult, which was Carcass and Cutler, being Moose and Steve Macklin, against Tony D'Angelo, Stacks, and Two Dimes. We did the thing where it started in the ring, and then they, with Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper of that one pay-per-view. They left and then we cut to it across multiple times in the show. Asuka beat Bayley, the last member of Damage Control she had to defeat. Bryan and Cesaro defended against Aussie Open. Keith Lee beat Scott Steiner, that's a whole other thing, Keith Lee and Bron Breakker were a tag team known as the Limit Breakers. Scott Steiner didn't approve of Bron Breakker teaming with Keith Lee, so Keith Lee beat him in a singles match, and then after the match, Bron Breakker did turn on Keith Lee. He then became Bronson Steiner. That's when Ivy and Tatum defeated Liv for Battle to win the tag titles. We then cut back to Karrion Kross and all of them. Candice LeRae defeated Utami Hayashishita to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. Became a much bigger story later down the line, which we'll get to. Swerve and Rick Ross defeated Matt Riddle. So I forgot I booked this. This was the culmination of the Hip Row story. Rick Ross wrestled a match. He was portrayed by Bojack, I guess, and this Regen called Boone Reeves portrayed Snoop. And it was Matt Riddle and Snoop Dogg against Swerve and Rick Ross. Yeah, this is what you're missing out on. Kyrie beat EO in the rematch, making one apiece in their rivalry. Carmelo Hayes retained against Pete Dunne. And this is where we finished off the Falls Count Anywhere match, where the D'Angelo family defeated Karrion Kross, Cole, and then they shoved Moose and Steve Cutler into the trunk and murdered them like they did with Pretty Deadly. They slept with the fishes, and they have now, actually left. That was their last appearance. And then the main event was a 6-man tag Hell in a Cell match. Seth Rollins, Solo Sikoa, and Jacob Fatu defeated Roman and the Usos. Seth pinned Jay, and this banished Roman Reigns and the Bloodline from SmackDown and ended a rivalry that was, at this point, nearly 2 years in the making. We then did a Starrcade show, which served as, WCW One Night Stand. Kicked off with Ray versus Juventud Guerrera, because, yeah. And then we did 2 War Games matches. We had Next Gen, which was, Kathy Cole, Nene Yamazawa, Tracy Sharrow, Lucy Stryker, and Samantha Riggs. They're all regens in the game. They debuted on the Heat after WrestleMania on a B show, and they aimed to take aim at women from the past, those being Lita, Trish, Beth, Molly Holly, and Medusa, and they won a War Games match. Candice defended the Women's World Championship against Liv Morgan. Karrion Kross defeated Goldberg. Tatum Paxley and Ivy Nile defeated Ari Maikawa and Meiko Satomura, who is... Ari Maikawa is Miyu Yamashita. They're in Ichiban, the stable with Shinsuke and Minoru Suzuki. And Path of the Dragon defeated the Cyclone to retain the championship. Charlotte defended against her former protege, Danny Jordan. I forgot about the Dungeon of Doom. The Dark Father, who was what's his name, James Mitchell, had possessed 2 of our anime boys, being Saray, Dio Madden, and Mansoor. And it was up to our babyface team of Sensei, Carlin with a C, Joe Hendry, and Hulk Hogan to win them back and Dungeon of Doom, and it was fun. Bronson Steiner then defeated Hank Walker in a squash because, WCW show, we had to get a Steiner on there. And then the War Games main event was Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Adam Cole, AJ Styles, and Finn Balor. So the Bullet Club with Drew defeating Planet Jarrett, Jeff Jarrett, Baron Corbin, Grimes, Gallows, and Anderson. The span off from the AJ and Finn versus Jarrett and Corbin Mania match, because the Good Brothers betrayed AJ and Finn because they like money more than they like the Bullet Club. So, yeah. And then AJ and Finn recruited Cody and Cole and Drew. Adam Cole was a bit of a snake. We didn't know if we could trust him. And then it turned out we couldn't because in the closing segment, him and the Paragon trapped Cody in the cage and beat him up. Which led to Money in the Bank, which was in London at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Pre-show, Tame and Ivy beat the Birds of Prey, which is Killer Kelly and Lyra Valkyria. The opening match was Money in the Bank. The 8 people in it were Xavier Woods, Angelo Dawkins, Bronson Steiner, Shinsuke Nakamura, Ilya Dragunov, Grayson Waller, LA Knight, and Jeff Jarrett. But the match was won by Montez Ford. This was when Bianca used her first wish. She wished for Montez Ford to be... No, this was her second wish, actually. She used her first wish to get Tez a match with Shinsuke to qualify for Money in the Bank, which he lost. She then just said fuck yeah and used her second to get him in the match live on the pay-per-view, and he won it. Which was the start of a slow burn heel turn for both of them. Pete Dunne defeated Swerve to win the US title. Sasha defeated Charlotte to win the women's title. And AJ and Finn won the belts in a 4-way over Path of the Dragon, Gallows and Anderson, and the Fritz brothers of Paragon. Sheamus, this was his last chance to become IC champion against Chad Gable, and he did it in London. Io and Kyrie then finished their feud in a weaponized steel cage match. Io won, and Montez Ford and Bianca Belair left because that was sort of like, hey, you know, we want to make sure that we know Bianca's not getting involved in this, so let's have her leave. And then Money in the Bank was Julia, Roxanne Perez, Zelina Vega, AJ Lee, Florence Dakota Kai, Tiffany Stratton, and Utami Hayashishita. Florence won it in her home country, knocking Julia off to win it. This was a whole big thing. If this is where Roxy and AJ sort of like butted heads for the first time before AJ turned on her, Dakota was screwed by her own stablemate Bayley, and yeah, it was a whole thing. It was fun. I specifically remember each of these women was picked for like a specific reason. Carmelo Hayes defended against Seth Rollins. Candice LeRae beat Shida and Liv in a 3-way. And we had Cody Rhodes defending against Adam Cole in the main event, following from the angle at the end of War Games. King of the Ring was Tony D'Angelo beat Matt Riddle on the opening match. I can't remember what the feud was there. It was something fucking stupid. I think it genuinely might have been Matt Riddle liked pineapple on pizza, and that ticked off Tony D'Angelo. Anyway, the quarterfinals, or semifinals even, of King of the Ring. This was in Rome, by the way. Randy Orton beat Logan Paul in the Raw final. LA Knight beat Seth Rollins in the SmackDown final, setting up LA Knight and Randy Orton as the King of the Ring final later on tonight. Vinci then got a singles win over Christian, because it was in Rome. And Edge came back, setting up a 6-man tag at SummerSlam, which we'll get to. The OG leaders defeated Carrillo and Zergus to retain the belts. That's when Zergus turned on Humberto Carrillo to set up a SummerSlam match. Bray Wyatt defeated Bobby Fish. This feud was fucking hilarious, if I do say so myself. But it was actually Bray's last match. So, yeah. Keith Lee and Santino Marella. It was a Keith Lee and a mystery partner against Bronson and Scott Steiner. And because we were in Rome, it was Santino, but he really didn't do anything because Keith Lee pinned Scott Steiner to win, and then Bronson Steiner beat his own uncle up after the match. LA Knight won King of the Ring over Randy Orton. Cody Rhodes defended against Aleister Black. And then after the match, I think it was set up that Raw was going to be in MSG on Monday, and the main event was going to be Cody Rhodes, who'd been friends with Drew McIntyre at this point, looking to challenge Finn and AJ for the tag titles. Carmelo Hayes then won a 4-way against Ilya Dragunov, Damian Priest, and Dolph Ziggler. And the main event of King of the Ring was a SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeated Daniel Bryan and Cesaro to win the belts. And then this angle was me announcing ECW. Because Heyman had been talking to Cesaro on SmackDown, and Bryan was like, "What the fuck you doing, bruh?" And yeah, Cesaro went to ECW, which led to Bryan, well, we'll see what happened to him later on. Evolution was in Paris when King of the Ring was in France, or in Rome even. So of course, Violette Martin, who is a male, had to get on the show. She beat Indy Hartwell. Nikki Cross won a Battle Royal to determine the next Tag Team Championship challenges. Asuka and Liv, I think, was the SmackDown Queen of the Ring final. And Bianca and Shayna was the Raw Queen of the Ring final, so we're setting up Asuka and Bianca for the final. Tatum and Ivy defeated 2 members of J-Flow to retain the belts. That's when Alexa and, you know, spooky, evil Alexa Bliss returned. I completely forgot about Raw Legends Night, which was an important part of Raw. It was Alexa's last stand to try and keep her job, and she brought in, like, Snitsky and Heidenreich and Blue Cane, and then she got kicked out of the building. That's when Joe Gacy found her and reunited her and Nikki Cross. Alexa turned back evil and got revenge on Tatum and Ivy by challenging them to a match at SummerSlam. Florence defeated Ruby Riott existed just to get Florence a win on the show. AJ defeated Roxy to win the title. She debuted a new faction with Anna Jay and Julia Hart, being Anne-Marie Porter and Kelsey Cook, And yeah. We then did Sasha Banks retained against Kairi Sane and Rhea Ripley. Originally, Kairi and Rhea were going to go one-on-one, but then Julia got hurt, who was Sasha's challenger. So we made it a triple threat for the belt. Dakota Kai and Bayley, the two members of Damage Control, you know, after Bayley cost her in Money in the Bank, went to a no contest because Cora Jade, who was the third member, ran in and attacked both of them. Tiffany Stratton cut a promo. Becky Lynch made her return from pregnancy because she left for pregnancy again and attacked Tiffany. Then did Charlotte, Ava Rain, and Ariana Grace against Danny Jordan and the Platinum Princesses. You know, her former proteges against her current group. Asuka won Queen of the Ring. And then in the main event, Io defeated Candice to win the Women's World title. And Asuka immediately came out and confronted her, challenged her to a match at SummerSlam. Then I did a post-show angle where the Next Gen girls beat up Candice. SummerSlam Night 1. This was in Tokyo, the Tokyo Dome. Hence why Aoi Maikawa won the Hana Kimura Battle Royal. And Sensei defeated Scripts in a My Wrestling Academia match. This was when Sensei defeated Scripts, because we thought Scripts had the pendant, the evil pendant that makes them more powerful. And then they unmasked Scripts to reveal he's Reggie, which shocked absolutely nobody except Mansoor. Rhea and Becky, unsanctioned match, opened the show. After Rhea had been attacking Becky for the weeks following Evolution. It only got a 70 because Rhea squashed her. Yeah. We then had Pete Dunne defending his US title in a 5-way against Angelo Dawkins, Buster Gates, The Miz, and Nathan Fraser. Alexa and Nikki Cross beat Tatum and Ivy to win the belts. The Brood reunited. Edge, Christian, and Gangrel were the three who took on Imperium. Imperium obviously did win. Going into this match, Christian had a guy, and Edge had a guy, and Edge was like, my guy's Gangrel, and they picked him. But turned out Christian's guy was Dijak, who they didn't pick. And then Dijak attacked Edge and Gangrel, and that's when Christian turned on Edge, and yeah, became, well, you know what he became. Bronson Steiner, Keith Lee strap match. Bronson, you know, picked up the win to end that feud. Julia became the inaugural champion here. Just a freeway between three of my best teams for the Raw Tag Team titles. Those were the OG leaders against DIY and the Cyclone. Brock Lesnar and Ilya Dragunov was a match I threw together because I thought it was gonna fucking fuck, and it did. LA Extreme defeated the LWO. It was the losing group disbands, and LA Extreme was Rouge, Santos, Jorge, and still is Rouge, Santos, Jorge, and Dominic, managed by Conan, put together by Conan because we brought out AAA, and yeah, we took some of their guys. So the actual group is Dominic, Jorge Santana, Santos Escobar, Rouge, and Beatriz Vargas, who is Stephanie Vaquer, managed by Conan sparingly whenever he's around. And yeah, they defeated the LWO, which disbanded the LWO, which was Rey Mysterio, Andrade, Cruz, and Carlito, because Wacky and Wild was injured and unavailable. We then did the final countdown. Daniel Bryan against Okada. We opened the Forbidden Door. We had a match on each night. Bryan vs. Okada was night 1. Bryan kicked Okada in the dick to beat him here, which, you know, set up a heel turn for Bryan, which he's still on right now. But then to make Okada feel good, he Rainmaker to both members are pretty deadly. We then did Montez Ford versus... No, we did Kamala Hayes in LA Knight was the match, because LA Knight won King of the Ring. And Tez came out, cashed in during the match, won the triple threat, pinning Carmelo Hayes to become the world champion. And then Drew McIntyre cheated to defeat Cody Rhodes in the main event. Night 2 was where we saw our first 100 rated match. 3 members of NXT Japan challenged for the Trio Championships and lost on the pre-show. Bobby Lashley won the Antonio Inoki Battle Royal on the pre-show as well. Montez Ford versus Shinsuke Nakamura became a World Championship match. It was originally scheduled to be for the Money in the Bank briefcase, but obviously Tez cashed it in the night before, so it became a world title match. Tez retained. Dakota Kai then won the Damage Control Triple Threat. They then all went their separate ways because Cora Jade was added to ECW, and Bayley went to Raw because Bianca had used her last wish to move herself and Montez Ford over to SmackDown, and SmackDown would get one man and woman from. Or Raw would get one man and woman from SmackDown in return. Bayley showed up on Raw the next night, but we wouldn't find out for a few more months who the guy would be. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn retained against Solo and Jacob Fatu. Roxy Perez won back the Liberty Championship from AJ. Sheamus defended against Randy Orton and Dudley Davis in a triple threat. Next Gen defeated the present women, being Candice LeRae, Bianca Belair, Florence, Killer Kelly, and Lyra Valkyria. Then after the match, Bianca and Candice went at it. Bianca was a heel, and now at this point, and that set up their rivalry that they are still on to this very day as we speak. They then crowned the first ECW champion as Dolph Ziggler. Sasha defeated Charlotte and Kairi to retain the belts. Zergus defeated Humberto Carrillo. Our New Japan Forbidden Door match on this show was Will Ospreay versus Seth Rollins, and Ospreay defeated Seth because Seth's been having a bad run of form lately, and it all started here. We had got a singles match, Roman Reigns against Warden, and Roman Reigns won. And then the main event, our first 100 rated match with the save, Io retained against Asuka because Utami, who we hadn't seen for like a month, Io and her manager Cammy, who was a Regen, hyped her up because she lost to Candice back at Judgment Day. And she's like, we can make you better and all that shit. And then eventually she did join Io and Cammy, who then added Tegan Nox and Piper Niven to the ranks and formed a stable known as Queendom, which, if you watch every single week, you're more than familiar with them. We then cut to the first pay-per-view after SummerSlam, which was Unforgiven. This was a Raw branded exclusive show. Christian defeated Rey Mysterio, because Christian's a better father than Rey, of course. So, that was the whole angle. I then did Alexa and Nikki against Tame and Ivy, Toxic Attraction, and DKE. That was a team from Raw, SmackDown, and ECW. And it was Alexa and Nikki who retained. Sheamus defended the title against Dominic. Grayson Waller came out and attacked him. Giovanni Vinci, Ludwig Kaiser retained their tag titles over the New Day. They won them on a Raw in the build-up between SummerSlam and now. Gunther then beat Xavier Woods in a singles match. Roxy beat Kairi. The match for male models, which was Elton Prince, Kit Wilson, and Tonya Breeze, who is Maxine Dupree, defeated Mackie and Otis and Brooks Jensen when Brooks Jensen turned on Otis to join the match for male models. Rhea won the championship from Sasha, and then the main event, Drew retained against Cody, AJ, and Finn. But our next pay-per-view was No Mercy, SmackDown branded. Death Row Above defended against Angelico and Top Flight, Ty and Toby Marley on the pre-show. We opened up with John Cena, Florence, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn defeating Hit Row. Trust me, the story around Hit Row is better than it sounds. You're looking at Hit Row on paper thinking, what the fuck? But trust me, this was hype at the time. The Hit Row breakup story is something else I'm really proud of. And then after the match, a man called Lord Bando, who is Prince Nana, came out and took Swerve away from Hit Row. Candice and Bianca had their first match and went to DQ. And then after the match, Bianca put Candice through a table. Bianca is flanked by Jakara Jackson, and Montez Ford is flanked by Ora Mensa. They're sort of like my version of The Way. Big Cass beat Omos in a Battle of the Giants. It was fun. Bryan defeated Ilya in a 99. That was decided, who the best wrestler on SmackDown was. And that's when Miles Bourne, there was a segment on SmackDown where he was a job guy used to wrestle one of them. I think it might have been Ilya. He turned heel and aligned with Daniel Bryan, became his protege. Asuka beat Utami. That's a spawning off from the finish of the SummerSlam main event where Utami screwed Asuka. The Revolution beat Seth Rollins, Shaker Fatu, and Solo. The Revolution was formed by Seth. in Survivor Series 2022 to face the Bloodline in War Games. So, you know, they sort of like got revenge on their creator and his two friends. And then Solo would spike Seth Rollins and lead him laying shortly after this. Bronson Steiner defeated Keith Lee in an I Quit match, where the loser would leave WWE. That was supposed to be a shoot, because Keith Lee's contract was coming up. I had nothing for him. But Keith Lee's back now, because I thought of something funny for him to do. We then ran this triple threat match back, but like actually, instead of Tez cashing in. And he does retain, overcoming his in LA Knight. And then the main event was Io Sky defeating Dakota Kai to retain the championship, which then set up Asuka, Dakota, and Bianca all running out, which was the three-way vote for Cyber Sunday. But before that, we had ECW's first pay-per-view, which was High Voltage. We crowned the new champions, Damon Kemp and Ronnie Hughes, defeating Ali and Cedric. Roxy defeated Ali Maikawa and Gigi Dolan to retain the Liberty Championship. This was amid the Toxic Attraction breakup, which would happen shortly after this. Tekka's, Zack Sabre Jr., Rip Fowler, and Jagger Reed against Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Dudley Davis. Blair Davenport defeated Shotzi Extreme Rules match. Braun Strowman, this is where he beat Matt Cardona to win the TV title. He squashed him in 5 minutes. Adam Cole beat Shinsuke Nakamura. Julia retained against Hikaru Shida. And in the main event, Dolph Ziggler defeated Roman Reigns to retain the ECW title in, the Night of Champions spot from real life where the Usos would betray Roman. And, yeah. Cyber Sunday then came. Christian had now since been feuding with Cody Rhodes because, it writes itself. And Cody beat Christian in a Texas Bull Rope match, which you voted for. And, yeah. Rhea then retained against Sasha Banks. It was either Sasha or Bayley or Charlotte. You picked Sasha. And then Otis got his revenge on the Maximum Male Models. And the options were either a singles match between him and Brooks, him and Mackie against Brooks and Tonya, or an 8-person tag with Otis, Mackie, Chad Gable, and Anthony Ogogo against Maximum Male Models. The 8-person tag won, but Ogogo got taken out, which had been Tyler Breeze. Came back, he came back a bit more crazy. He's had a whole lot of an arc across this entire save. And he beat the Maximum Male Models after, he formed them alongside his sister. Then Drew McIntyre defeated Logan Paul to retain the WWE Championship. I rigged that because, I pretended Logan Paul did a Prime giveaway. And, if you go vote for me, I'll give you a free year's worth of Prime. So he won the vote. Swerve beat John Cena. We had John Cena back like real life. His run ended here. Swerve beat him in a, was it a street fight? I believe so, yeah. And Montez Ford against Ilya Dragunov had LA Knight as the referee. And, Montez Ford retained because LA Knight took a bump or something. I can't remember the exact story, but, Ilya was a bit mad at LA Knight as well. And the main event, Io defended inside a cage against somebody. You picked Dakota Kai. She retained. Then Io and Dakota and Queendom, Bianca, Asuka, and a returning Candice LeRae all brawled out inside of the cage, which set up Survivor Series War Games. We opened up Survivor Series in a normal 5v5 elimination tag. Cody Rhodes, Edge, Big E, Kofi, and Xavier Woods defeated Christian, Drew McIntyre, and Imperium. Imperium and Drew had been beefing for a while with New Day and Cody, and Christian had been beefing with Cody. So Cody needed a fifth guy. He picked Edge, of course, to get his revenge on Christian. But Christian got himself immediately counted out as soon as he had to step in the ring with Edge. ZSJ beat Dudley and Braun to win the title. Jade defeated Roxy to win the title. Dijak beat Sheamus to win the title. Dijak is Christian's Luchasaurus in this universe. LA Knight defeated Montez Ford to finally win the title. This was do or die. Ora Mensa was in a shark cage. Rhea Ripley squashed AJ Lee to retain the championship. Solo Sikoa retained his US title. He won the US title on SmackDown from Pete Dunne. Seth Rollins came back to try and, fight off against the man who turned on him, the monster he created or whatever. And then Solo retained. And we had a brand v brand match that was winners. So survivors get an opportunity for a title shot of their choosing. Team SmackDown was originally Ilya Dragunov, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Swerve Scott, and Trick Williams against Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Finn Balor, Rey Mysterio, and a mystery person. Trick Williams was then mysteriously attacked backstage by somebody, but still on the hunt trying to find out who it was. But we then revealed that Carmelo Hayes was the last member of Team Raw. He was the person that got traded across for Montez Ford. But then Team SmackDown were a guy down. They wrestled 4v5 all match until right at the end when Brock Lesnar came out. F5 Carmelo Hayes, and the two survivors were Ilya Dragunov and Brock Lesnar. Warden defeated Dolph Ziggler and Roman Reigns to win the title because of some Uso shenanigans stopping Roman. And then Heyman fired the Usos. And then the main event in War Games, Io, Utami, Tegan, Piper, and Julia. Julia stepped in as the final member of the team after Cammy went to ECW to recruit her. On SmackDown on the Go Home show, Florence had cashed in her briefcase. Winner would be the champion as well as get the War Games advantage. And then Julia screwed Florence in that match. And then the heel team had the upper hand. Candice LeRae received a mysterious note the day before, which we're still looking into. It was like, oh, I'm sorry, it was the only way. And then, like, she doesn't know what that means. And we're still looking to see what that means and who left it. But that was on her head, so she was sort of distracted as well. And then eventually Dakota Kai turned on the team and united with Queendom after, she failed a couple of times to take them down in what felt like a huge betrayal of both us and the babyface team. Armageddon was SmackDown's last pay-per-view of the year. Chase U had been having a bit of problems within itself. Keith Lee, who is now unemployed, taking up jobs as like security and shit, suggested a 3v3, and then that happened. And it was the originals, which is Thea Hale, Haley Paul, and Bodie Hayward, defeating Shane Reynolds, Morgan Downs, and Hamza Katana. David Martin against Pistolero. David Martin, Michael Oku, had been French since he debuted, called David Martin, but he'd been injured. He came back, he fought Pistolero, who was Bandido. He took a concussion in that match, and it sort of like fixed him, so he's not as French anymore. And David Martin then beat Pistolero. Kevin and Sami Zayn defeated the Creed brothers to retain the belts. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins had a match because Tez had nothing else to do, so that was an easy rivalry to reignite. Solo retained in a 4-way against Pete Dunne, Daniel Bryan, and Seth Rollins. They got a 99. Ilya Dragunov and Swerve challenged LA Knight. This was Ilya cashing in his title opportunity that he got at Survivor Series, and I guess Swerve just got in anyway. And then Tiffany Mariah May beat Alba Fire and Iona Webb, who is of course Isla Dawn, in the Duel in the Deep Woods, a cinematic match where she had a trophy that she made for herself that got stolen, and she won the trophy back there. And the main event was the quote-unquote SmackDown 6 of my women's division in an Armageddon Hell in a Cell. And Io Sky won, she retained, she pinned Utami, who is the heir of Queendom. And yeah. Now takes us to the final pay-per-view, Holiday Hell. Roman Reigns defeated Warden to win the title. Julia retained against Cora. Hurt Business retained against the Fritz brothers. Jade was originally set to face Liv Morgan, but then Liv Morgan and Shida were attacked earlier on in the night. But Shida's injuries were deemed, minor, while Liv's were more severe, so Shida got the match instead. And she was like, I'll win it for you, my tag team partner. She didn't. And then House of Horrors was back. Gigi, Jolin, and JC Jane settled their differences. And then Kyle O'Reilly, the God, defeated Roderick Strong. And Matt Cardona beat Sabu because he's doing the I'm going to beat all the ECW legends because I'm an ECW legend. That gimmick. Zack Sabre Jr. was going to defend against Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy got concussed literally on the Go Home show here. So Minoru Suzuki stepped in and faced him instead. And yeah, that's all the pay-per-views. Stables is another big thing. AJ's Webb, they're still together. Still those three. Chase U is Andre Chase, Bodie Hayward, Haley Paul, who is Sandra Moon, Hamza Katana and Morgan Daniels, who are Regens, Shameless Shane Reynolds, who is Jimmy Shane, and Thea Hale. The D'Angelo family exists as Tony D'Angelo, Big Problem, Cash, Channing Stacks, Lorenzo, Electra Mole Lopez, and Troy 2 Times Donovan. They're sort of like lingering, recurring characters on SmackDown. They haven't really, made that much of an impact yet, but they are just fun to book in segments. Dead from Above is still a trio. It's Gran Metalik, Lince Dorado, and Pistolero, managed by Cynthia Crespo, who is Selena De La Renta. The Elite Street Troupe, EST, is Bianca and Montez Ford's The Way, with Jakara Jackson and Oro Mensah. Hit Row, I guess, as a trio still exists, with Ashanti, Top Dollar, and B-Fab. They're now just a babyface tag team, and I actually have to book them somewhat seriously, because I imagine the Hit Row angle I did would have got them over. So, yeah. Ichiban is a group. Minoru Suzuki, Meiko Satomura is the deputy when she's here, because she's balancing with Sendai Girls a lot. So I added Yoko Ubihara, who is Maika, and Ari Maikawa, Miyu Yamashita to the group. Shinsuke Nakamura's in there, as well as Rikuru Serizawa, who is their, like, young boy. What's his actual... Hayato Tamura, that's his actual name. Even I forgot. Imperium, yeah, it looks like it. You expect it to. J-Flow have been around since the very beginning of the save. Maki, Marika, Mina, Mizuki, Tam, they are a J-pop band. Again, they are just fun to stick in segments. La French Connection was super French before. Edris Inofe, Malik Blade, David Mator, and Violaine Mator. But they're having a bit of a weird crisis right now, because David Mator, appears to, be Britishing himself up after a recent concussion. LA Extreme, as we said, Dominic, Beatrice, Jorge, Rouge, Santos. Dominic's been taking them to the mean streets where he grew up, of course, which is where he got the nickname Dirty Dom. Beatrice Vargas is his pretend girlfriend. He tells his mean friends that that's his girlfriend, but she's not actually. And Jorge, Rouge, and Santos, they don't like Dom, but, Conan wants him in the group because he told Ray that he'd protect his son. And, yeah, that's how they formed. Max Male Models, Brooks Jensen, should have the picture of him with the glasses and the suit and the ponytail, but the recent picture pack deleted that picture, so I've got to add it back in. Pretty Deadly. Tonya Breeze, she's called Tonya Breeze because she was Tyler Breeze's sister and not LA Knight Max Dupree's. And then Tyler Breeze left the group because he's insane. Mogul Affiliates is Swerve's new group that formed after the Hit Row collapsed. Bronco Nima and Lucian Price are his new lackeys, alongside Lord Bando, Prince Nana. Our Wrestling Academia is... it sure is. It was originally Dio and Mansoor were a babyface tag team with no gimmick. They then went to an anime convention, met up with Saray, and then met up with Young Sensei. They all liked anime. And then that sort of became... They actually became anime characters. And they recruited Carland with a C, whose name was just Carland because he was called Harland. But he was in the Carrying Cross cult, so I called him Carland with a K. And then, once he turned to babyface on the Carrying Cross cult, he became Carland with a C. And I actually changed his name to Carland with a C. So that's the origins behind that. Reggie joined the group after he was originally a villain. But then they unmasked him. He wanted to join the good guys. It took some convincing from Manny, but he is here now. And Zelina Vega joined when she was, she's just Zelina Vega, it's an anime group, she would be in it. But there's a lot of turmoil right now because there's been an overarching story about someone who stole Survey's magical pendant that helps people win. And, a bit of a weird cliffhanger we ended 2023 on, where one of these people appears to be, lying. Next Gen is a group of regens. They're all a part of a Heat Next Gen tournament where the winner got a spot in last year's Rumble. Tracy Sharrow won that. But then they're on the Heat after WrestleMania. They all came together Nexus style and formed a group. They've sort of fallen off a little bit recently since they've actually been on ECW, but I am looking to actually have them do more stuff soon. Paragon was Adam Cole, Bobby Roode, David Fritz, Kevin Fritz. JC Jane has now joined the group as well. The origin behind that was Toxic Attraction were feuding with the female members of Ichiban, and Adam Cole and the Paragon were feuding with the male members. And then Adam Cole was like, hey, we should team up and form a super group. And Gigi said no. And Gigi said no, and Gigi said no. And then, only Gigi said no, and turned out JC had said yes, and she joined the group. And then that led to the Toxic Attraction split and the House of Horrors match, which we just saw at the pay-per-view. Path of the Dragon, still technically a group. They're MIA right now because Humberto was working through an injury and Tozawa's got a brain tumor. So I thought I would just take them all off and then bring them all back together with a big pop. We love them, though. They're a success story of the entire save. Planet Jarrett, nice little mid-card group of bandits who like money. Jeff Jarrett, Cameron Grimes, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows. Corbin was in the group, but I sort of just took him out. There was no like big breakup or anything. I just sort of just took him out. And he's been doing, you know, singles heel Baron Corbin stuff for the last couple of weeks. Queendom, hugely important part of the WWE. This is my, you know, my nucleus of the entire company right now. Io, Dakota, Utami, Tegan, Piper, and Cammy. Cammy is Io's translator. They recruited Utami at SummerSlam, and then, you know, there was no, like, big angle to add Tegan and Piper. They sort of just joined the following night. And then Dakota Kai joined, but of course, her and Tegan have had a lot of history. Tegan doesn't trust her, but Tegan has been losing a lot, so she's been relegated to a mascot role, while Dakota Kai's been bossing her around, and, you know, it's caused a little bit of friction within the group. But, you know, Io and Dakota are the tag team champions. But Tegan Nox, on the last SmackDown of the year, won a number one contender shot, so she's got a title match, and Io is the champion, so I'll have to see what happens there. Tekkers, the trio of Zack Sabre Jr. and the Grizzled Young Vets, they are just, you know, they are Zack Sabre Jr. and the Grizzled Young Veterans. You know, I don't know what you want me to say. The Bloodline now has Solo in it. We've yet to hear why Solo joined after, you know, he came into the company rebelling against his own family. We've yet to hear what changed in his mind. I'm sure Heyman will tell us on ECW, because, you know, that just happened in the last show I booked. But Solo is now back with his tribal chief. Jacob Fatu, we haven't seen him in a while, so will be interesting to see what his opinion on all this is. Grand Jury is currently just a trio. Damian Priest, Amazon Frost, Ken Cobain. It did have Dolph Ziggler in it. He used to be the leader of it. Obviously, it was Edge to start. It started out as... Let me see if I can remember Grand Jury lore. It started out as Edge, Damian Priest, and the Viking Raiders. And Randy Orton sort of joined as Rated RKO. And then he sort of... I think he went away somewhere. Like, for no reason. And then Dolph Ziggler came in and usurped Edge. And then it was Dolph Ziggler, Damian Priest. Oh, Dolph Ziggler came in, he usurped Edge. And then these two kicked out the Vikings because the Vikings were loyal to Edge. And then Dolph Ziggler also added Scarlett, who was his on-screen girlfriend at the time. Julia and Sonya Deville. But then the women ended up going their separate ways in the draft. And then it was the four guys... being Ziggler, Priest, and these two against Edge, Randy, and the Vikings in War Games at Survivor Series last year. And then, you know, Damian Priest kicked out Dolph Ziggler, and here we are. That's Grand Jury lore. Hurt Business currently stands as Bobby Lashley, MVP, Damon Kemp, and Ronnie Hughes. Other people who have been in the group were... I think Apollo was in it once, like when it first formed. Bronson Reed was in it for a while. Because the Cyclone did break up temporarily and then got back together. When I realised I liked them better as a team than individuals. Yeah, I can't remember who else was in it, but other people have been a part of the Hurt Business, but this is the current lineup. New Day. It's the New Day. I haven't touched them, really. Not going to break them up. Never going to break them up. But yeah. Revolution is Buster Gates, Nero Barnes, Rufus Hamilton. We've been over them. They formed as like the new Shield. As the final few members of War Games on Seth Rollins' team. They now, you know, rebelled against Seth. But Buster Gates, Ricky Starks, is out for 6 months filming. So they're on ice, and it'll just be these two for a while. Royal Dynasty is Charlotte and her two cronies. You know, female legacy, basically. Titus World Records is Titus O'Neil's, you know, record label. It's got R-Truth in there. Billy Kay, Slim Shanky, and Elias. They just won the tag team titles after a rise, you know, after they finally started stepping into the ring. And then finally, Toxic Attraction is new. Mandy's new lackeys are Kenzie and Kylie Page, you know, because we took... The draft broke up the original Toxic Attraction. Mandy stayed on Raw while the Gigi and JT went to ECW, and then we know what happened there. So then Mandy's replacements were the Page sisters. Yeah. Our roster, I can't really go into too much depth because there are a lot of spoilers in here for the Rumble and shit. Medical, this is our current medical standards of who's away. Tozawa still out for 5 months. Buddy Murphy 15 days. Buster 5 months 3 weeks. Humberto 29 days. KSI 30 days. Nathan Fraser in prison. Yeah, that happened. He's been put in jail. That happened just recently. He's gone for 2 years. Nova Nebula still out on maternity leave for 5 months. Ronnie Hughes 4 days. Warden 2 months 2 weeks. And yeah, I think that's about it. So that's basically, you know, that. I made sure I was doing it. It's like, you know, this is the starting point. Like, it's the new year. What a time to jump on. Power 500, I think people want to go over. Like, the whole thing. So I will do just that. Seth Rollins was number 1, then Cody Rhodes, then Daniel Bryan. Io was the highest rated woman at 4. Then Pete Dunne, Walter, Ilya, Asuka, Cesaro, and Solo was actually number 10. Which he was a part of like 299 matches, so that's understandable. Then you had Drew, Randy, Dakota, AJ. Kenny Omega is the first person not signed to me at 15. Tyler Bate, Ricochet, Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Gargano at 20. Then Utami, Sammy, Sheamus, Ludwig, Eichner, Candice, Bianca, Kevin, Carmelo Hayes, Adam Cole, Big E, Darby Allin again, not signed to me. Gable, Dolph Ziggler, Swerve, Roddy, Bronson Reed, Okada, Xavier Woods, Rhea Ripley, top 40. Now, I'm not going to go through them all, but, you know, you can read all of this. You can read the names on your screen, so pause it if you care, and see if Colton can find how low Thea Hale is. Yeah. But, yeah, we've got Raw, SmackDown, and ECW coming up soon. And our first pay-per-view of the new year is New Year's Revolution, which is this Saturday. The card for that is Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre 1-on-1 for the title. The IC title, Dijak against Edge. The Raw tag titles we don't know yet, but that'll probably be set up on Raw. The women's title is Rhea against Roxy Perez. There's a tag match, DIY against the House of Black. There's Randy Orton against Carmelo Hayes. And I'm positive another match that I'm missing. But, yeah. Anyway, I think that's, you know, the whole recap. I might make this a yearly thing. You know, every new year. Go over the past year so people can jump on at this point. But yes, without that, I guess I'll see you next time for the first Raw of 2024. See you then.